And we are live. Hello, hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? This is Meena Dalwani from Destination CEO. And today is Monday, my day when I come and talk to all of you. But today, I am not alone. I have my tribe. I have these amazing, amazing women leaders today joining me because guess what? It is our sixth anniversary. Yes, Destination CEO turned six last weekend, and in order to celebrate it, we have put together an empowerment week. Empowerment week so that we can empower, we can share our stories, we can share our knowledge, we can share our tips and tricks on how we overcame our barriers and empower our community. These leaders are so amazing. I'm going to just bring them on screen. But I'm so excited to be here. Oh my God. I hope that you're all joining us. And, I encourage all of you to ask questions because it's really difficult to have such amazing leaders all together on one show, on one stream at the same time. So they are all here. They have taken out the time from their extremely busy schedule to come and share their stories and to empower you all. So give them some love. Talk about challenges that you're facing and ask them advice. So without further ado, and because we only have an hour, let me bring them on. Hey Suresh, hello Wanda, hi Cynthia, bringing everybody on. Hello
Hi.
Michelle,
Hello.
hi Sana.
Finally, I'm here.
I know. Welcome to Destination CEO's Empowerment Week, and what an amazing start with women empowerment and such empowering women joined together to bring so much power. So everybody knows me. Well, if not, they better get to know me. Come on, I'm Destination CEO, or the founder of
I
Destination
have
CEO.
known you since I was in high school.
What was that?
I have known you since I was in high school.
Yes, you see, Sana is joining us for the first time, and Sana is a daughter of one of my close friends. But she's going to tell her story in a little bit. Let's start with Suresh. Welcome, Suresh. Welcome to all of you wonderful ladies. Once again, thank you so much for taking out the time and sharing that important information that we all need to empower women, our tribe, right? So thank you. Let's start with Suresh. Suresh, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the things that you personally faced and how did you overcome those barriers?
Sure. So, first of all, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today and taking your time. Hope you're doing well and staying safe during COVID, all of us dealing with the pandemic. I really appreciate you taking your time, and thank you, Mina, for having me be part of this amazing panel. I appreciate that. I'm honored. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Suresh Shams, and I'm a talent acquisition manager at Descartes Systems Group. And Descartes is a software development company, a Canadian-owned organization with global footprint, and we create logistics and supply chain software. And my role or my responsibility is to manage recruitment, talent acquisition initiatives, programs, strategy, the whole gamut. And what I really love about my role is I can wear different hats. So I have been very, very fortunate throughout my career to know some of the best leaders, male and female, have the opportunity to work with some great colleagues to learn from. But fast forward 20 years ago, when I came to Canada alone by myself, I was like any other immigrant, lost, culture shocked, didn't know where to start from. And at one point, I honestly thought about going back as well. So within 20 days, I had to find my first job, which was telemarketing. And trust me, it was not easy. I have shed some tears. I've cried. And there were times people hung up on you, they swear at you. So all of that, right? And like I said, there was a time when I wanted to even go back. But then I thought to myself that I wanted a better opportunity. I wanted a better life. That's why I came here. So I need to make a difference and do something. And of course, probably it was the reason that I wanted to go back is I had lost my confidence, that I just wasn't ready for it. So I decided to just think about it, build my confidence, and basically be passionate about what I was offered. Even telemarketing, it's hard, it's not easy, but anything that worth doing, it worth doing well. So I had to work hard, be passionate, and to be honest with you, 2 years in, when an opportunity, a temporary 15 days role in recruitment was open, my manager vouched for me. So that's a learning lesson for me, that any position that you're offered, you work hard. You show to your managers or leaders or colleagues that they could be your sponsor. They can take you to the next step to your career. And that has been my way of growing and developing in my career since for the last 20 years. And where I am today, it's all because when I have, of course, tried to be confident, I am trying to talk to myself that, yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I could be a minority, but if I work hard and I show results, because everywhere you go, it's all about the results. Your manager, your leader, regardless if they're male or female, they will see the value and they will they will become your promoters and they will become your sponsors to take you to the next level of your career. And of course, I've had a bunch of women who have supported me. I can take a name, like a list of names, including Mina. Thank you. So yes, it has been their support, all my leaders, the hard work, the passion, and not giving up. So that's basically me and my story and the barriers that I have faced. Thank you.
Thank you, Suresh. That's really empowering to know that, even though you worked in telemarketing, because when I worked in telemarketing, I gave up. I didn't see myself there. But you found your niche, you found your passion, even though you were in telemarketing. So kudos to you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Wanda, let's start with you. You too are, you too started as a newcomer at one point.
Absolutely, absolutely. So greetings to everybody. I know we probably have morning, afternoon, evening, as we might have a listener from across the globe. And I probably would like to start that I love, joining events done by Destination CEO, and the energy that you bring to the table, Mina, is definitely very motivational and uplifting, just, for any activities thereafter. Well, I'm not newcomer to Canada anymore because I'm here since 2002. So I would have to do quickly math, which I will not do quickly now. But it is quite long time. I'm currently working at RBC as a manager, strategic initiatives, workforce initiatives. But I started with RBC many years ago in diversity recruitment, and it was definitely a dream job. And I stayed there for quite long time, transitioned into another role where I was supporting young people transitioning out of school in a program dedicated to build their transferable skills, build their confidence, and open different doors and a point of view as they're building and starting to build their careers. So all my sort of professional life, especially here in Canada, had a focus on inclusion and supporting and empowering people from all different walks of life, especially those who might have challenges as they're doing so. Preparing for today, and I was reflecting, challenges that I overcome. They always seem so lesser than that in the past, which is great. That's definitely lesson number one. But probably a lot of influence in my ability to deal with the challenges and overcoming them in my life today start probably as for anybody else early on. As a teenager, I had to move country because of my father's work. He was a diplomat, and we moved to Russia from Slovakia, where I'm from. So I grew up in socialistic regime. I moved country at a fairly young age, and I had to adjust to new culture, learn language. I went to regular Russian school, so language definitely was a barrier. And when you cannot express yourself, when you cannot articulate your thoughts, you definitely feel a little bit lesser when you're comparing yourself. And we all compare ourselves to people that surround us. And so I think, that perseverance and knowing that I have to, there is no other way, helped me to really build resilience in a process. And then when I moved to Canada, and I had to rebuild my career. Again, I came with quite basic English knowledge. So again, English and so language and cultural barrier was something that caused a lot of doubt at the beginning of my career here. And I started, not in telemarketing, but I started in cafeteria. And so, I was cashier, barely distinguishing coins. And I had to quickly adjust because it was all about the time and customer service. So, those experiences, as challenging as they were when I was going through, through those situations, definitely build my confidence that I can do anything. If I put my effort, my mind, if I have intention, I can overcome. It might not be the ideal outcome that maybe I picture at the beginning, but there is outcome, whether I try hard or not. And so it's up to me to take ownership and make sure that I direct my actions so I can influence that outcome. And really that empowerment for me means that I have control, that I own my behaviors, that I own my expectations. And even though there are other people who need to participate in that empowerment, I am definitely that very significant part of it. So that's my intro.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Wanda, for sharing that. And yes, you're so right. Regardless of where you are or how you start, it's your personal responsibility. And Wanda does a really mean master session on that. So if you want to know more, you need to come on Saturday to check it out. Thank you. So Sana, let's go to you. Sana is in her car because she's taking her lunch break to join us. Sana, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I work in supply chain, so that means I don't really have lunch breaks. I usually eat at my desk. But no, I was like, I'm gonna step out of my office. It gets so loud in there that I can't talk. So I'll just cut it short. My biggest struggle that I have faced, I think, is I was home and I had my daughter for about 3 years, and life happened, and then I found myself in a situation where I was gonna be a single mom of a 3 year, and I had a daughter of a 3 year old, and I was going for, if full custody. I'm like, for that I need to go back to work. But once you have been home for 3 years, a lot of companies have really hard time hiring you because they don't understand that, for women, life happens. You take a break, you get pregnant, you have kids, and a lot of time you can't go back to work right away. So I literally just found any job at that point I could get, and I had a business and accounting background, so I found a job in account payables, receivables at this a transportation company. It was a 6 months contract. I needed a job Monday to Friday from 9 to 4, and that was the best job I could get. It did not pay very well, but I was like, I'll take it. I need to pay the bills. I'll take it. And my biggest forte, what I have found, is networking and talking to people. I'm great at that. And I've got into transportation. After 6 months, I worked my way up to accounting, and I worked my way up to sales and business development and networking. So I mean, going back to work after 3 years, I still remember sitting in front of the screen and thinking, I forgot how to write corporate emails. I don't even know how it's done. Like I had a mom brain. I was Googling, like, how do you write corporate emails? So that has been my huge struggle. But I've been very blessed to know a lot of good women in my life. I remember my manager, I sent an email and she emailed me back some samples of her email saying, hey, Sana, let me help you. And honestly, that meant a lot at that point. I was sitting in the computer desk. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna lose my job. I'm emailing the VP, and I'm like, I'm just writing like, "Hi, how are you?" And I forgot how to write, please find attached or see attached, just the basics. And I think those things are a lot of things people don't talk about. And moms going back to work need help. And if you see other moms coming back to work, please lend a hand. Ask them how they're doing. We pretend at work we're okay, but we're not. It's very hard. And yeah, that's about it. I'll pass it over to the next person in case I have to run back.
Thank you, Sana.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
Sana, in terms of empowerment, you've been doing a lot. I've been through your journey when you were yourself a child, and love your mom dearly. How she started her career as a hairdresser, and
So
where she
yeah,
is right now. So you had a phenomenal role model, a really empowering woman behind you.
my mom was a single mom because our father passed away when we were very young, and I have always seen her just really not giving up. She would just pick up like side hustles and main job because she had three kids. So my mother sent us to university like debt free, no OSAP loans or anything. So that's what I had to look up to. And at any point when I felt like I was giving up, she was there and she's like, no, I think you can do this. And I think that is what has kept me going. And then I have to, when I go home, I look at, who's looking up to me. And I have a daughter, 10-year-old, who's very headstrong, feminist, by the way. She looks at me and I know that I cannot give up. And I have just worked very hard, worked my way up, found what I love doing. I mean, I'm in transportation, I'm in logistics, and I absolutely love what I do.
Hopefully, it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that your mom also drove a truck at one point.
Like, well, we are from Texas, so we do like trucks a lot.
Yeah. And also a mention that in order to empower women, Sana has started or has been running a Facebook group called Her Story. And at some point, Sana's going to share about it. But let's
Yeah,
move on. Thank you,
yeah.
Sana. Michelle, welcome. It's the first time you're on live stream with us. So thank you so much for joining us. Well, let's hear from you. Let's hear your story. You've empowered so many women. I've myself seen you helping so many new grads, but today I'd like to hear a little bit more about who this amazing woman is and why the passion to empower women so much.
Thanks, Mina. I appreciate you having me, and really excited to be on the panel with such great women as well. So appreciate to be here. So it's funny, when I first read your question, is your intro is like to talk about what you've overcome. Like my first is like, I don't know, nothing. And I think that's because most of my career and in life, it's just been like, just get it done, right? Like we don't have time usually as women to think about what isn't working. We only have time and energy to get on with it and find a way. So when you get to an obstacle, you don't spend a lot of energy getting upset about the obstacle. You just figure out, how am I going to get around it, over it, under it, whatever it takes, just get past it. And so I didn't really, if I'm honest, despite, women empowerment being something I'm superbly passionate about, particularly in the area of technology now, most of my career, I was just focused on going. And I didn't really spend a lot of energy on it. But it was only maybe in the past, I'm going to say 6-7 years, for which I started to look around a little bit. And I didn't see a lot of the unconscious bias and maybe the way that, I was being treated or other women were being treated as sort of a major obstacle. But then it became more of an issue where I saw it in other people. And I was like, hey, she's not done. And so I would, just being sort of a dominant personality would tend to be like, oh, I'm sorry, were you finished? To the women in the room. And I think something sort of clicked with me, and I had a bit of a moment where I realized that the way I was dealing with being a woman in technology as a relatively senior executive was by assimilating. And so I was pretty masculine behaving. And for a long time, I actually thought that's who I was. And I really had to sort of take that mask off and say to myself, like, hey, are you actually like this assertive and aggressive by nature? Or like, are you doing this because you're always surrounded by really dominant men and it's your only way to be heard? And are you inadvertently not being your authentic self? And the answer is yes and no, right? Yes, I'm probably a pretty dominant person by nature and never had an issue saying what I think. But my genuine style, I think, was being artificially influenced. And so I slowly but surely started to think, you know what, like, no, I want to be authentic. Like, I want to talk about what's important to me. And I started to slowly take notice of when other women were doing that and sort of having conversations with them. And then as I got higher in my career, I also felt like I had sort of that duty to help other women. I didn't really, with intention, seek out other women mentors or talk about these things. But once I started to see them, I realized how much better I was by talking to other women about it, and not in a complaining way, but just being like, hey, did you notice this? Is this just me? Let's just talk about it. And so, like, one of the biggest things that I really focused on was talking to other women, like this, especially as a mother, but in your work life, just building relationships with other women and actually having those be authentic, real, not pretending everything's okay when it isn't, right? Is because the problem is when we all compare each other, which is just what we do, and we shouldn't, but we do. If we only compare to other people's outsides and we never show the inside, this will just keep going. So I make a point of having really meaningful connections with people, and I say exactly what's going on. I tell them the good, the bad, the ugly. And I do that because I also want them to do that. And when we create that as a safety, we can start to be our truly authentic selves at work and actually in life in general. So those are the few of the things that I've done, but it wasn't a big empowerment journey. It was just more of a, and slowly realizing things along the way. And I'm sure more to come as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. And it's interesting that I've seen both sides of you. So I've seen that, that mask on you and a little bit off you as well. And that's why I felt that, it's important that you share how you feel, because, working, and I'm sure that specifically Suresh and Sana, who work in a male-dominated environment, would feel the same way, that you need to be aggressive. You need to be, assertive. There needs to be a certain mask that you need to wear because you're constantly being judged by men. But like they say, right, you want anything done, give it to a woman and it will be done. So thank you for that. Cynthia, welcome again, first time around Destination CEO. So excited to have you here. You bring such an amazing amazing magic to this show, because your life, your career is all about empowering women. And you also left like a corporate gig in order to focus completely on empowering women. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey. How did you make those decisions, and what do you do right now?
Thank you so much for the intro, and it's been very inspiring to listen to everyone's stories. So I'm super excited to be here with everyone, and welcome to all the viewers. It's great to be here. So my story, let's see, where do I begin? When I think about the question of what challenges did I have as I grew up and started my career, I think a barrier is being shy and being afraid to actually, as Michelle said, speak up for yourself. And so for me, growing up, You know, I was shy. I was very, very quiet. I was sort of always hiding behind people and really too nervous to, you know, be out in the front and center. And so as I started out my career, my very first job was working in a food court. So I had a lot of people interaction. So it was actually a great way to get more comfortable with people. And that continued. And I worked for an investment firm. And I think as well, part of the journey is recognizing the careers that are a mismatch for you so that you can actually find the ones that you really thrive and enjoy. And so I realized pretty quickly that wasn't the right fit for me. And I ended up in nonprofit, which is where I met you, Mina. And I was a director for, you know, worked there for almost over 10 years. And, you know, for me, my challenges were really, I was that yes girl. I was, you know, I said yes to everyone. I never said yes to myself. So while I was helping all the people around me, I wasn't helping myself. And so that became a challenge and also an opportunity. And so, you know, throughout my career, I had a wonderful opportunity. And if there's one thing I can say to everyone, it's, you know, when you have an opportunity in front of you, just jump through, no matter how uncomfortable it is. So for me, I was given the opportunity from my wonderful boss, Helen, at the time, to start public speaking. And so for someone who's very shy, that is a very big leap forward. And so it was very nerve-wracking, yet it launched my career. And so, you know, that allowed me to really sort of step into a sort of higher space of leadership, where I really started to just allow myself to feel the fear and do it anyways. And so I had the opportunity to, you know, deliver job training programs specializing in soft skills development and also image, because I'm also an image consultant. And so I worked with probably over 5,000 men and women. And so, you know, I think of that as a very sort of pivotal point in my career. And then, you know, it was kind of time for me to get to that next level in my career and really sort of honor what I wanted to do. And like you said, empower people in a different way. And I've always seen people's potential. I did support a lot of women and manage a lot of women when I worked for the nonprofit. And I had a lot of joy in that. And so I launched myself. I was trained and designated. I'm a neurolinguistic programming coach. So that essentially is where I work with people's unconscious programming to clear the limitations, because that's really where the root of our challenges live. I'm also a hypnotherapist. I have the pleasure of, you know, again, I took that leap, and a mindset of success is absolutely necessary, you know, when you're launching yourself as an entrepreneur. And it's really about making that decision to be successful. And there's a lot of things I can say about that, and I look forward to sharing some tips in a little while. Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia. I remember the day when you decided to take a leap, and we actually went out to celebrate that, hey, we're going to do this full time now. Yes. So, and you're doing it, and you're yes. now in the cottage. So, wow, cool, really fun.
Yes.
Gina, I'd like to
yes.
open... I have a picture to share with you too. I'd like to open up the discussion on confidence. Women in general, like, you know, Sana mentioned that when she came back after maternity, it was difficult to believe in herself and how to ask for help. Suresh, you came from, you know, very different part of the world. And for you, I remember you had more than just one teary moment. Wanda, you know, I'm sure you've had a lot of challenges as well. So, and Michelle, regardless of the mask that you're wearing, or, you know, you wear in the corporate world, all of us have had certain barriers that we face. And, you know, somewhere, and I've talked about the imposter syndrome because I constantly have that. But how do you, when is it that you realize that you've got to stop doing that? And, you know, what can we do to believe in ourselves? You know, that recognition moment to say, I'm not this person. How did I become this person? I need to change. So I'm going to open it up. Anybody jump in, please, to share your thoughts on when did you realize and what was that first step that you took when you realized it? Go for it.
I can maybe go. Yeah, I'll go first. I'm going first, usually person, but to add to conversation, I don't think I had one single moment. I think there were a number of experiences that slowly sort of I had to process situations so I feel comfortable, or I can maybe take that leap of faith and do something that I'm scared of, but I had to a little bit change my perspective on it. And I do realize, especially looking backwards, that there were many things that I did or I was doing that were combination of other people's expectations that I took as mine, and I did not really did hard work of self-reflection enough. And it became a process. And I realized that as I'm going through life, and with age we tend to reflect more, I guess, that it really gave me that comfort that it's okay not to want everything that everybody wants. And there was one presentation a few years ago that I attended that started with words, comparison is a killer of joy. And that resonated with me. It's probably quite common saying, but it resonated with me really on that level of, comparison to others and expectation, and me being afraid to want something without knowing outcome, whether I will be successful or not. I was that kind of good girl doing everything, properly, never, first, but never last, always in kind of that safe, good range. So I think that really gave, I keep asking that question to this day. I keep asking that question when I have difficult decision or when I feel frustrated with something, because that will bring me back to that authenticity. I think Michelle mentioned or that we need to be really authentic. We can pick and choose, and we learn from others. So we do pick different things from others, and it might as well relate to our goals and expectations, but ultimately it needs to fit to our own puzzle. So it was a process. It wasn't one moment, and it's ongoing process as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody have anything to add?
I'll go next. So again, we all have our breaking points, of course. I mean, like you said, I had many occasions that I had shed tears. And of course, at the beginning, I waited until I reached that breaking point, which I almost lost my confidence, and it impacted my life, my career, and everything, right? But from that moment, I realized that I need to believe in myself, and I need to make sure that, yes, we try to fit or set expectations based on what others want or expect from us. We need to set expectations for ourselves. We should believe in ourselves, what we are capable of and what we are not. We're all unique. We have our own strengths and abilities, but we cannot make it, or we cannot fix ourselves for what others are looking to see in us. So that was a kind of learning point for me. And since then, I try to follow this software development agile process, because in agile they believe in fail fast and learn fast. So I try to follow that. If I'm trying to do something and if I fail on it, I want to learn from that as a lesson and change direction. I don't want to wait for my breaking point again. So that has been really helping me to make sure, number one, that I set expectations for myself. I believe in myself, because if I don't believe in myself, who else will? I need to start confidence and believing so others can follow my lead. And then obviously, who knows, sky's the limit. And as I fail, and of course we will have mistakes, we will have those failures, I learn from that and I continue, and I don't give up. Just because I didn't make it, I failed, I don't want to be disappointed and say, oh, I can't do it. I just continue. I take a different approach. So that has been really helpful for me.
Michelle, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think, the idea of, building our confidence and figuring that out is, it's also surrounding yourself with the right type of people that aren't tearing you down, but are instead going to call you on it when you're, maybe having that crisis of confidence or not giving yourself enough credit, to have someone be like, really, is that what you would tell me if I gave you the same advice? If I was in the same situation. So I think that's a key, is like surrounding yourself, and this could be men or women or friends, it doesn't matter. But people who will help you and guide you. So when you're having that moment, they'll help you. I think for me, it's not quite the question you asked, but like, I've spent a lot of time talking and mentoring young women on standing up for themselves and, being confident when they negotiate job offers and all of these things. And, but I have to admit, I was just recently renegotiating my salary, like a few months ago. And then I said to my boss, well, what do you think is fair? And then I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it's partially because I trust him and he's a great person, and that's coming from a good place. But I was like, I literally coach young women on knowing their market, knowing their worth, not, like really coming out with confidence. And here I am asking, and I was like just kicking myself. So the good news is he's a great guy. And his response was, Michelle, like, what are you doing? Like, the men in your position aren't asking this question. And I was like, okay, you're right. Let me start again. Right. So I think the point is that it's not a journey. And once you get it, you got it right. You have to keep reminding yourself. And I think the key to doing that is by surrounding yourself by people who will help you go through that thought process, because it's really hard to undo a lot of the social norms that have we can undo them, but they will creep back. So you have to just kind of be constantly maintaining it and surrounding yourself by people who will help you do that.
Thank you. Yes, that's so true, right? It's all about, we feel lonely, and it's so scary sometimes to be so vulnerable. And, because we're supposed to be strong and professional, we hide that vulnerability so well. But sometimes you just need to talk about it, and you need to talk to somebody who you can trust, that is not going to go backstab you. So thank you for pointing that out. Sana, you did just that, right? When you were struggling, you reached out for help. What would you say to women who are in that situation right now, contemplating and not sure if they can reach out? You're mute. We can't hear you. Oh, no. You have to adjust your headset. Take off your headset. Maybe that would be better. Oh, she's not gonna. Okay. Well, whilst we wait for Sana to come back in, Cynthia, you coach women on how to believe in themselves and the steps to take. So what would you say? How do we do this?
Yeah, I would echo on what Michelle says. It is so important to surround yourself with people who want you to be successful. All it takes is actually 3 times us hearing something, and that thing or that thought becomes installed into our brain. So if we worked really hard to believe we can do something, and then we surround ourselves with people who are bringing us down, we are more likely to fall down. So that support system, the asking for help, is huge. I really believe that being successful, it starts with a decision. And I think, just to add some sort of light on the contrast we have in our life, like as a former perfectionist who still struggles, I can say that I'm in a place now where I'm able to look back on some very big mistakes that I made and to see actually how important it was to make them, because that allowed me to launch myself into either a new path, a new behavior, you know, and that really is the only way to learn and to grow. And so, you know, going back to just the fact that it really is a decision to be successful. If you decide to be successful, it requires commitment. And so that means, you know, surrounding yourself with the good people and really holding yourself accountable. And I think something that we struggle with is a lot of us only know conditional commitment. And so, you know, we only want it if it's, you know, maybe easy, or, you know, we don't have to invest any money. And so it's you know, commitment is a big job. And, you know, the women that I work with, you know, baby steps, taking that one step forward is better than taking no step forward. And to me, one of the most important things is when you've decided to be successful, you have to focus on it, because whatever you're focusing on, that's going to determine your behavior, and that'll determine your results.
Complete law of attraction, right? Put it out in the universe and it'll come tenfold back to us. Sana, let's see. Did you get your audio back?
I'm so sorry. This is a perfect example of multitasking, like women have to do. No, so I mean, I'm gonna cut it really short before something happens again. So I work in supply chain, which means I work with a lot of companies, and I always know who's hiring and who's in the market for looking for, you know what. And I also have a huge circle of friends and moms who are thinking about going back to work, or they need help with resume. So I always have people reaching out, hey, Sienna, can you look at my resume? And I don't always have the answers, but I do know a lot of people who may have the answers. So I remember I was driving to work again. I had a school meeting and I had to see a customer. And this friend reached of mine. She asked me a question, which I answered. And the minute I hung up, another friend called me asking the same question. And I was like, you know what, guys, I'm going to make a group on Facebook. I'm going to add you guys, and I'm going to add the people who know the answers. And how about we just ask each other questions and kind of keep the conversation going? So I added like 6 people, and literally this is a few months back. It was more about just connecting women, like people from the other part of the globe, to the women here, because I find we all have a lot to learn from each other. I mean, I can speak for our women back home. A lot of them lack confidence of like networking and reaching out, and they don't know how to. Like, we're very limited to, we have Facebook groups, but this is like, they're very secluded. Pakistani mom group, or like Milton mom group, or Brampton mom, or like, you know, this. And so I couldn't find a group that had everybody in it. Like, no color, no color, no glow, like no borders, just women helping each other. It doesn't matter where you're from. So I added like 6 people in it, and they added 6 other people in it. And in a couple of months, I had like more than 1,000 women in it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. And it was just, so I called it like her story. So just women sharing their stories. And I find a lot of people just share how successful they are, and which is amazing. But I personally like to share my struggles and failures, what has made me, you know, work harder, and why I'm here. And that was the whole purpose of making that group, so women can actually collaborate and share their ideas. Hey, I'm from this part of the world, this is what I started, this is what my struggles are, and what do you guys think? So people just share, and then other people pitch in, other women pitch in, and it becomes an idea, and people helping each other. So it was just very overwhelming. I started a very small group helping like 6 people, and there were 1,000 women in it from all over the globe, like the places that I've never heard of. So yeah. And that's when I reached out to Meena Auntie. I'm like, Meena Auntie, I think you're in this field. Can I add you? I think you can add to the group, because a lot of women on it are not on LinkedIn. So, you know, I post a lot about LinkedIn because I love LinkedIn. And I'm like, you post a lot on LinkedIn, but a lot of women are only on Facebook. Do you think you can help me out there? And then she joined, and then she invited me here.
Yes. We always share. So, Sana, I know you have to go, and so
Yes.
give one tip that you want to give women who are starting out, who are scared, who are looking at their resume gaps and thinking, I'm not going to be successful. One tip that you would say
Don't be
from your own.
don't be scared of failure. You're gonna get no's. You're gonna get no's. If you're tired, take a break. Don't give up. Keep going. Ask questions. The minute you stop caring what people think, I think you're gonna do great. Just you do you. Ask questions. Reach out. Bug people. And you know, you'd be surprised how many women these days are more than willing to help. And I have seen that personally. And I mean, I texted you, I LinkedIn you, and you're like, yeah, sure. So for sure, reach out, ask for help.
Thank you, Sana. Really appreciate it. You
No
have a good
problem.
afternoon. I know you have to go back.
It was very
So
nice talking to you guys. Take care.
thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So that was very kind of Sana to, drop in. But now let's we have 15 minutes left. What would be one thing that, from your experience, you feel women should do right now to feel more confident, right now to feel more empowered? So let's start with Suresh. Unmute yourself, my love.
Sorry, can you repeat your question again? I have a child who's not listening to me right now, turning on the TV.
Work from home, honey.
Sorry about that.
One tip that you want to give women who are listening to feel more empowered, to do right now, to feel more confident about themselves, regardless of their situation.
So regardless of their situation, just be confident. And how you build confidence is nobody is perfect. We all have, again, strengths and we have weaknesses. Try to ask for feedback, seek mentorship around you everywhere, anyone that you admire. It could be your friend, you could be your leader, your colleague, your coworker, even your children. Sometimes I learn from my child. So seek for feedback and build on those weaknesses, and that will build your confidence. And then try. Never give up. Just keep on trying. If you failed, learn from that and keep trying again. That's what my suggestion is, and I will keep doing that myself.
Thank you, Suresh. Wanda, what about you?
It's difficult to pick one thing. I think that there's so many different things for different people that are important to tap into. But something that maybe just really clicked for me while Sana was talking was that we sometimes get lost, especially nowadays with a lot of social media. People post successes, which is great because it's great to celebrate successes, ours or others people, and get inspired. But as well, that maybe paints a picture a little bit unrealistic about the full us. And it might really impact one's confidence. And so I think, as women, we tend to really compare ourselves to model of the world outside. It's sometimes difficult to be realistic about it. So I think, one piece of advice that I would like to share is, really try to spend time with yourself and to connect to your own core you. So you understand what success means to you. It doesn't have to be the same that, people that you see on social media or your colleague or traditional path that you maybe kind of see around. Really what that success means to you. And I think that will really drive commitment, that Cynthia mentioned, that commitment to continue and commitment to be successful. And then, so this is second part, then that really find and join a tribe or a village, of people that will support you. And if you're in a position, then create a village, create a tribe, like Michelle does, right? So we can come to that village from different places, coming for inspiration, but as well giving inspiration.
Thank you. And you took a year off to go on that soul searching journey yourself.
Yeah, I just in time before pandemic started. So yeah, I was in a position that I had great job, everything continued pretty well, but I was questioning, what is next, what did success look like for me. And I realized that I always say I love to travel, but I don't travel because I'm too busy at work. And I was questioning how successful I would be in unexpected situation. I'm a planner. So, I went on for 12 months traveling with my son around the world and challenged myself. And I think that was sort of one of the successes that, at the end of the days, I will be always kind of looking back. Yes, I did it. I talk about it, and yes, I did it.
Thank you. That's amazing. Michelle, what would you have to say?
I'm just too distracted by this year trip, actually, to answer. Sounds amazing. I think most often, speaking for myself and a lot of the women that I've worked with, is often we are the problem, right? It's that voice in our head that tells us that we can't do it, and when we've made a mistake, that we're an idiot, or whatever that mean girl is inside your mind, is not really accurate of what anyone thinks about you. And so you got to tame, that voice inside your head, which obviously Cynthia would probably be a great person to talk about. But for me, one of the things is that I really use, and I sort of alluded to it earlier, is that when I hear that mean girl in my voice telling me that you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you keep making mistakes, maybe you really shouldn't have gotten to this job that you're at, I really try and isolate those feelings and think to myself, okay, let me imagine it was, Mina who called me with this. What would I say to her? Right? And try and replace that conversation in my mind. And to be clear, it doesn't always work, right? Depending on the scenario we're in, we might not be able to logic and reason our way out of everything we're feeling, and that's fine. But the sooner you can separate that voice in your head and then sort of validate by reaching out to others, at that point, you're really stopping that narrative that's stopping you from applying to the job, that's stopping you from putting your hand up for a project, for speaking up in a meeting, to coming up with an idea, or volunteering for something that you think would be really exciting. So to me, the most important, we can spend a lot of time and energy talking about what other people can do to support us. But I think it really starts inward and taming that sort of mean girl inside your mind.
And that recognition is so important. You shared about your salary negotiation. And I remember having an interview where, the employer, the president was saying, really sorry, but we can only offer you 80 grand at this time. And I'm thinking to my head, oh, I wasn't even thinking that high, but, and it's just, sometimes we don't value and sometimes we overvalue. It's so difficult to recognize, research is there and everything is there, but how do you ask? It's easy to ask for somebody else, but it's so difficult to ask for yourself. It's so difficult to acknowledge that I need this and I'm going to ask for it. Running Destination CEO, for instance, we're bootstrapping, right? We still have bills to pay, but it's so difficult to ask, okay, this is how much it costs, or it really costs. But, and that comes in with that imposter syndrome and that acknowledgement of, am I really worth it?
That's it. Just answer yes.
Yes. Michelle says yes. Cynthia, am I really worth it? So how do you, how do you train women?
Yes, you are, Mina.
Thank you, thank you. But you know, where
Yeah.
women are
So I
questioning
so I
themselves.
have yeah. So a couple thoughts come up. So the very first thing that I want to say is, especially for someone who's job searching, the very one of the ways that we disempower ourselves and devalue ourselves is by thinking that we're not important as the employer. And I've seen so many women do that, where put the employer on the pedestal, and they've already created a gap, right? So to me, step number one is you're equal. You are equal when you go in. The second piece is practicing your success. So our brains are incredibly powerful. And I'm sorry, someone's sawing in the background. I hope you can't hear that. Your brain is your superpower. And so one of the things I recommend is actually imagining, so engage with visualization, being successful. So imagine yourself, when you are in your, we call it physiology of success. So when you're feeling good, you walk differently, you speak differently, you carry your posture differently. So imagine yourself being in that space, because what you're doing is you are training your brain to see things going well, to see yourself as powerful, to see yourself as feeling confident. And to me, like, that is such an important piece. And then the last piece that I want to say is, when those sneaky me thoughts come in, one of the fastest ways to actually stop it is to say, cancel, cancel, cancel. Cancel, cancel, cancel. So it's a powerful pattern interrupt that we actually can give our brain. And so this time you're caught up in something, maybe you've made a mistake, cancel, cancel, and keep saying this over and over, and watch the difference. Notice what's different. And then be nice to yourself. Really be nice to yourself, because your words have power. You really do have power. So
It's so difficult for us to be nice to
I
ourselves,
hope
right? I was talking to my own mentor, Biju, very recently, and it's struggling with something. So he said, "Look, every time you feel stuck like that, think what Mel Robbins said: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm different. Change." So I think it's so important where we realize I'm stuck. How could I be different? And immediately change. So quite like you ladies said, Suresh said, fail fast, learn fast, right? Know when you have to be vulnerable, and know when you have to put up that mask, because and this happens with me constantly, specifically on Mondays, because Mondays is Mondays with Mina, where I actually come on live and usually have a conversation with the audience. And the conversation is about my own journey. And I can tell you one thing, that when I am vulnerable on Mondays, so many people reach out to me and tell me they heard me, they're feeling me, they're living my story. And and then on the other side, that question comes in my head: did I share too much? Was I too emotional? And every single boss I've had has said to me, "You're too emotional." But passion is an emotion. Somebody asked me earlier today, what is your passion that is not work related? And, besides kids, I could like, this is my passion. Destination CEO is my passion. Making a community, living the community, growing the community, raising the community. That's my passion. I like to bring people together, people like you who want to make a difference and make the difference together, because I cannot do it alone. But that recognition, when I realized I cannot do it alone, I need help, that aha moment for me to say, I want to do this. I cannot do it alone, but if I don't reach out, I'm going to kill it. And it was that decision. So many women out there are questioning yourself. Is this time to go back to work? Will somebody hire me? My resume gaps. I was so senior in my position, and now I'm not being appreciated. It's time for me to make a move. If you are struggling with those questions, now is the time that you reach out and perhaps speak to somebody who's been through that journey. It's difficult as a woman. It is so difficult for us, specifically because we're surrounded by dominant males, right? It's so difficult for us to put our foot down. But if we don't put our foot down, if we don't believe in ourselves, nobody else will. So with that concludes our show. Thank you so much, ladies. Do you want to say anything before we close the show today?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much for being
Thanks
a part
so
of the
much.
show. And I hope that we will do many more shows like this together and empower more and more women. Really appreciate. And viewers, don't forget, I'm coming back in an hour. Yes, with Rashmi to share her interview skills and things that she learned as a newcomer and how she prepared for her interviews. So come back, go have some lunch and come back. Thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful day ahead, and
Thanks,
welcome
everybody.
to the Empowered Meet. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.